Hi guys, and welcome to another hangout with the International Force Rape Timeline. On August 6, 2021, I uploaded a video called News and Views and Anonymity. This will be just news and views. Again, as usual, please excuse the creaking table. I'm recording this fairly early evening on February 11th. I usually record in the small hours. I was supposed to be visiting Goodman's grave tomorrow with Taha, but the idiot hasn't phoned me, and I keep phoning him, and his phone is not, what's the phrase, connected. So I might be going on my own. Goodman died February 14th, 2024. I might visit Jesse Gilbert's grave while I'm there. Tragic, absolutely tragic. As I say, I've got a lot of ground to cover. This isn't the video I was going to make. I was going to do one on Dark Blue Yonder. I might yet do another one on Fantasy Island. A lot of this will be Fantasy Island because covered in part the ongoing Epstein nonsense. And there's been clashes today in Congress. Ted Lieu, he really is a piece of work, that guy. Questioning Pam Bondi. Before going on to that though, I want to cover some other issues. Starting with two false allegations of rape, which have yet to be added to the False Rape Timeline. This one is from a news story today from Manchester Evening News, the website. Sex worker jailed after she told police client had raped her. Gemma Neelan made a false allegation to police. A sex worker, i.e. a prostitute, claimed that a client had raped her after threatening him with a knife. The man was arrested after Gemma Neelan, 32, made the allegation to police, but Neelan from Gorton ended up the one being prosecuted after it emerged she had threatened him with a knife following a dispute over payment. Manchester Crown Court heard. She was jailed after admitting to have threatened the man with an offensive weapon. Prosecuting, Charlotte Rimmer said that the victim called police on 999, reporting that he had been threatened with a knife by Neelan. The pair had come into contact earlier that day after he had responded to an advert. He travelled to her home and arrived at around 10 p.m. on January the 18th last year. It would be this year, wouldn't it? He was directed into the living room and noticed Neelan was wearing a scarf which partially covered her face. The man also formed the view the defendant was on drugs. He changed his mind. Well, yeah, he should have changed his mind before going. He told Neelan that he needed to go back to his vehicle to collect some cash, but she blocked his path. I'll spare the details, but defending Tobias Collins said Neelan was in a vulnerable and dangerous position in her own home at the time. He said that while in minor custody, Neelan had not taken drugs and used her time productively. She got 13 months in prison. Go without, right? You don't need sex, not from whores anyway. You can't find a decent woman. Go without. That's my advice from personal experience. And the second one, this is from February 7th. Drunk woman falsely accused a man of rape after he gave her a lift. She's, how can I say it, very attractive. Blue eyes as well. And utterly toxic. Rachel Jones, a 38-year-old mother of 5, was found drunk and distressed in the street and was offered a ride home by Salim Ullah. And then she claims to have been gang raped by him and 2 others. Bearing in mind the climate, this was April 2022. Bearing in mind the climate over this grooming gang scandal, this guy obviously being a Muslim, I mean, he could have been in a hell of a lot of trouble there. That's absolutely disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. You got 2 years. Not a day too much. I mean, that's really. And of course, you know who the real victim is. Some hypothetical woman in the future will be raped and not believed. I mean, it's so predictable. Anyway, I'll add that to the false rape timeline in due course. There'll probably be a judgment published. They're doing this now with a lot of cases. Sentencing remarks. Absolutely outrageous. Right, that's news. Now some views. In Scotland, the not proven verdict was scrapped on January 1st. For those not aware, Scotland has, or rather had, the finest legal system in the world. You couldn't be convicted of any offence without corroboration. And there were 3 verdicts: guilty, not proven. Juries in Scotland are made up of 15. The not proven verdict was scrapped under pressure from the odious sexual grievance industry, in particular Rape Crisis Scotland. Sandy Brindley, a truly odious human being, has recently stepped down as its chief executive. She called the false accusers of Alex Savin brave women. No, they were lying little tarts. The idea is that, well, they want more convictions, basically. I think by ending not proven, there'll be more convictions. Juries in Britain will accept, the judge will accept a majority verdict of 10-2. In Scotland, it was 8 of 15, but now it's been increased to 10. So that's good news. What they're also trying to do is abolish jury trials for rape, as in Canada. They want more convictions. They don't care how much reasonable doubt there is, or no doubt at all. If a man is accused of rape, they want this guy convicted. And there are some absolutely horrendous cases. Legal scholars and legal people have spoken out against this, including two KCs now. 2 KCs, one of them a very attractive female, and they're not happy with this at all. Somebody else who isn't happy is A. Lee from HMP Ashfield. This is 11th of February, again today, in Inside Time. This is the cyber version of Prisoner's newspaper. He writes, this is mailbag. I write in response to the article, new rules of evidence will make it easier to convict rape defendants. Yeah, we'll come to that. I found it absolutely outrageous and stupid how the government think this is okay. It's like giving carte blanche to men and women, saying, go and accuse as many people as you like and we'll put them in prison for you. Yes. This happened in Britain as well, in England and Wales. My question is, what are the government going to put in place to deter men and women from lying about sexual offences that never happened? Nothing. It's not fair on those men and women who've actually been sexually assaulted. Overwhelmingly women. And again, this is the real victim. This has been going on since the 1960s. So when are the government going to prevent the liars getting away with it? The previous article from December 15th. New rules of evidence will make it easier to convict rape defendants. Juries in sexual offence trials will not be told if the complainant has made previous unfounded allegations against other men, or has claimed compensation money in a push by the government to increase the number of convictions. Well, like somebody said, if men have all the power, why do women make the rules? And it's women who are making the rules here. The worst type of women. Justice Minister Alex Davis-Jones announced a series of changes to the rules of evidence intended to tilt the balance in favour of securing guilty verdicts. Well, that's honest if nothing else, isn't it? The move comes after the Law Commission published a report based on the premise that myths and misconceptions about sexual violence permeate the trial process and influence jurors' deliberations. Rape myths, believe women. That's what it means. That's what the phrase rape myth means. Believe women. It comes despite a ruling by the UK Supreme Court in November that changes to the process for sexual offence trials in Scotland, also aimed at making it easier for the prosecution to secure convictions, have gone too far with denying defendants a fair trial. They certainly are. I had one case, absolutely horrific. I mean, ludicrous. Secondly, we will introduce legislation providing a higher admissibility threshold for victims' compensation claim evidence in trials concerning sexual offences, providing that this evidence cannot be admitted unless it has substantial probative value. The fact that a victim has made a claim and the outcome of this claim are not sufficient grounds to insinuate that someone is bringing a case for the purpose of financial gain. In this country, very few false allegations are made purely for financial gain. It was different especially in New Zealand, because they had a ludicrous compensation scheme for criminal and accidental injuries. Whilst juries will be prevented from hearing such details about complainants, the government will also change the rules so they can hear more bad character evidence about defendants. That's outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. Mr. David, Ms. David Jones, I should have known, said that the rules will change so that juries could hear evidence of past non-sexual domestic abuse offences, such as coercive control or physical abuse committed by the defendant. It's absolutely outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. My view is, it's always been the case, that there should be no rape shield laws at all. And the reason for this is simple. In a rape trial, the accused really needs to take the stand. In America, they don't usually take the stand, but the accused needs to take the stand. And if he makes aspersions about the character of the accuser, and what was it called in Scotland, the complainer, then he will lose his shield against cross-examination on his previous convictions, if he has any. It's absolutely outrageous. The Supreme Court found the current approach in Scotland is liable to deprive the accused of the opportunity to put evidence before the jury, which is obviously relevant in the ordinary sense of the word, and which would, if accepted, significantly strengthen his defence. Yeah, as I said, the case I mentioned before, I don't think it's quite finished yet. The guy, he'd been out drinking with an employee. They had sex in the toilet. Yuck. Then he went back to his place, and she claimed to have been raped there, and he wasn't allowed to mention the fact they had sex in the toilet. It's just absolutely outrageous. It is now clear that Scottish courts will need to revise their approach in these cases and return to the system agreed by the UK and Scottish parliaments, giving trial judges greater discretion to decide what questions may or may not be asked. It's absolutely outrageous. I did say this was going to be a mixed bag, and this one is very mixed. This is in the High Court of Botswana. A judgment from April 16, 2007. The accused person, Mbisi Balashiki, is charged with a single count of murder. And what happened was the accused pleaded not guilty. This is quite a long, well, it's only 16 pages, not that long for a judgment. As a relationship, she did not raise any objections to this, was therefore surprised with something after the accused came to her homestead and asked her to go with him to his place. She says she refused. As a result, the accused forcibly dragged her to his home. Then the accused had sexual intercourse with her without her consent, in other words, rape. In the morning, she left for her homestead after the accused had threatened to kill her, together with anyone she dared relate the incident to. Ever heard that before? The following night, on the 26th of March 2003, the accused again came to her homestead and dragged her towards his home. On the way, they met the deceased, and the result of that was that he ended up shooting somebody, shooting this woman. And on the fourth element, the defence is submitting that the accused had been provoked by the conduct of the deceased and her companions in lodging a false claim of accusing of rape. And it was her niece, apparently. This guy got 15 years. When I found that, I thought it was going to be an acquittal of a woman who accused a man of rape, and that was a pretext of murder. But I mean, it's really weird stuff. And here's another one from the Bahamas, very recent, January 29th. The jury took less than an hour to acquit a man of raping his former lover. Prosecutors alleged that the 24-year-old Danaveo Sweeting raped the 19-year-old at her New Providence home on December 26, 2024. 7 of the 9 jurors found Sweeting not guilty, while 2 others found him guilty of the crime. Although her father was a policeman, the woman first reported the incident to Sweeting's girlfriend 4 days later. Sweeting, who did not testify, told police that he had consensual sex with the woman. Defence lawyer David Cash portrayed the woman as a jilted woman who was trying to destroy Sweeting. Yeah, I stand by the verdict, but I probably won't be adding that to the timeline. And this is something I definitely won't be adding to the timeline. This concerns a 10-year-old boy. This is from August 25th, 1999. Girl 9 tells of sex ordeal. A 9-year-old girl told a jury that a 10-year-old boy asked her for sex and then pulled her to the ground and sexually assaulted her when she refused. The boy, who's from Northwich, went on trial on Friday at a special youth court sitting at Chester Crown Court, accused of indecently assaulting the girl when she was aged 8. He was initially charged with rape and said to be the youngest person in Britain ever to be accused of rape. He was later reduced to indecent assault. 4 years ago, a 12-year-old Weaverham boy created legal history when he became the youngest person in Britain to be charged with rape. He denied the allegation and was given a 3-month supervision order after meeting 4 charges of indecent assault against an 11-year-old girl. They start young nowadays, don't they? Now, this kid was convicted. Boy 10 to go on sex pest register. A 10-year-old boy is to be put on the sex offenders register after being found guilty of assaulting an 8-year-old girl classmate. And I think I'll leave it at that. I mean, a kid at that age is old enough to realise that it shouldn't be doing that sort of thing. Right, now let's get on to more interesting stuff from the United States, in particular the ongoing hysteria about the late Jeffrey Epstein. First, I've got a couple of photographs to show you. This is of Prince Andrew as he then was. If these photographs look weird, yes, I can agree with that. I can understand why people would consider this weird. This was argued in Congress that this was a victim of, how can I put it? There is absolutely nothing sexual about what's going on here. It looks weird. Lady Colin Campbell has explained it on her channel, what's going on here. It's, how can I put it? It's mystical rather than sexual. But people like Ted Lieu don't care. And that odious Jaipal woman. Something weird is happening with my camera. So if you can't see me, that's no big loss. Yeah, how can I put it? You can't believe anything the Democrats say. Those photographs there, they must surely know that there's nothing sinister about them, or it's odd, but there's nothing. This woman is not a victim of sex trafficking or anything like that. I'll give you an example, 2 examples of the dirty tricks they pull. One was that Epstein, this is a while back, They released an email that said Epstein had a long conversation with a woman at his place, Donald Trump, and implying that Trump had been at Epstein's Palm Beach home and sexually abusing a woman. That woman was Virginia Giuffre, who, for all her sins, never pointed the finger at Trump. Another thing they did was, they've done this a few times, there was a photograph of Donald Trump with 3 young women and their faces are redacted. The implication is they were victims of sex trafficking, whatever is meant by that. And the reality is this was a public photograph. It was taken at a beauty contest or something. It was a public event anyway. And they did that to give the impression there was something sinister there. They just totally beneath contempt. Right, now, here's Ted Lieu. This is absolutely outrageous.
I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is on videotape. You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you, here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop a limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we sit here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
Right, that's a rather unusual angle. The camera will probably self-correct itself at some point. Before that clip, before that interaction with Pam Bondi, the amazing blonde bombshell Pam Bondi, Lowe showed those 2 photographs of Prince Andrew. I didn't want to know why Andrew hadn't been charged with sex trafficking. The rest of the stuff, I mean, Lowe's version of evidence, all manner of cranks make allegations against the president and against everyone else. I don't need to explain this, but I will. Any man in the public eye, or nowadays any man with a few thousand, maybe a few hundred followers on Instagram, can be accused of anything. So can any woman. Men are often accused of sexual impropriety, anything from sexual harassment, whatever that means, to groping, to serial aggravated rape. Women, when they're accused of sexual impropriety, are usually accused of slipping their way to the top, whoring themselves and the like. Both can be and are accused of financial impropriety. Any allegation may be true, especially the financial stuff. There's a lot of that been going on in the UK at the moment. But how much credibility have to give these claims? Lowe says this. We don't know who this woman. I suppose I could look it up, but this will be dealt with. This guy claims he was driving around Donald Trump and he heard Trump talking about. No, it's all garbage. This isn't evidence. This is nonsense. I've no doubt that somebody has probably accused Ted Lieu of something in that nature, or will do at some point. The Democrats are absolutely, they are totally beneath contempt. Not just for this, but for everything else. They turn everything into a circus. And this Trump derangement syndrome is real, absolutely real. Now, I'll point you to what other people have done. Michael Tracy I've done a lot of work on the Epstein case, and Jessica Reed Krause attended the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, and they come to wildly different conclusions. The media is just so dishonest here. Yeah, there were crimes committed by Epstein. There were crimes committed primarily, if not exclusively, in Palm Beach. Sexual crimes, getting massaged by underage girls, which, as I've said many times, if you compare that with the grooming gang scandal, the hearings that go on at the moment, it's nothing, you know. In Britain, he would have got, I think, 7 years at the top whack, and Ghislaine Maxwell 5 years, if that. I've no doubt that Epstein did commit other crimes which were financial in nature, related to the Clinton Foundation. That's the reason, the real reason, the Clintons have been reluctant to show their faces. This is, I mean, you have to look. Don't just read the headlines. There's all manner of stuff online now, and you should be able to sort the wheat from the chaff when it comes to allegations of this nature. And I think I'll leave it there. There'll be a lot more going on here. Bear in mind that this was something which was covered up, certainly during the Biden administration, because Epstein was a big Democrat donor and was said to be instrumental in founding the Clinton Foundation. I know that most of Epstein's money came from money laundering schemes and advising people how to avoid tax or to evade tax. I've got no problem with that, because taxation is by and large theft. Not entirely. We need some taxation, but not the money that's been spent on, wasted on. The money goes to NGOs and that. Anyway, I'll leave that as it is, and it might take a day or two to get this online, because tomorrow I'm going to visit Goodman's grave, and I've got other things to be working on as well.